SMART24, driving business.
Hello and welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Williams and Akauchi on Sign Language, here to give you more of what is making headlines from the world of business in your daily report. And we kick it off with the IMF loans, which have hit 873.8 billion Ugandan shillings to the country. Uganda will receive an additional loan from the International Monetary Fund, which is worth up to $240 million approximately 873.8 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, the executive board and the International Monetary Fund management will, in the upcoming weeks, approve the accord. Pedersen Mubere reports.
The International Monetary Fund (IMF) staff has reached an agreement with the Ugandan authorities on a conclusion of the combined second and third reviews of the Extended Credit Facility Supported Program. Following the IMF Executive Board assessment, Uganda is to receive $240 million, that's approximately 873.8 billion, increasing the total IMF financial assistance under the Extended Credit Facility Financed Program to $625 million. In
terms, this is one of the best debts Uganda can ever have. And he has also emphasized that our debt in Uganda is still very sustainable, and we are now in the moderate risk as far as debt is concerned. So we are quite very comfortable.
All in all, as a Bank of Uganda, we see that this sub-level agreement that we have reached today regarding the second and the third reviews are all in support of our mission statement of maintaining price stability and a sound financial system in support of socio-economic transformation. So once again, thank you very much for that, and we look forward to this level of cooperation and collaboration going forward. Thank you.
Speaking to officials from the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Uganda on Zoom from Washington, D.C., Mala Naba, the IMF mission chief to Uganda, notes that the executive board and the IMF management will need to approve the agreement in the upcoming weeks.
We are at this point announcing a staff level agreement, but we still need to have the executive board discussion on this review, and the executive board, the IMF executive board, will be discussing this review in the next few weeks in the new year. And it's only upon the completion of the executive board review that the IMF will be able to disperse that money. So we still have to wait for the executive board review before the money can be dispersed. In terms of the the priorities.
For TV Business Today.
Now we look at the Microfinance Deposit Taking Amendment Bill 2022. The Finance Committee is working on amending the Microfinance Deposit Taking Institutions Act of 2022, and representatives from various financial institutions have asked the committee to treat them as banks in the amendments. Samla Hanifa reports.
The members of various financial institutions have asked legislators to regard them as banks because doing so will enhance savings as well as public confidence in them. This call comes as the Committee of Finance continues to meet with various stakeholders in the banking sector in preparation for the Microfinance Amendment Bill 2022.
We would like them to approve, which will allow us, the MDI, the microfinance institutions that are regulated by Bank of Uganda in Tier 3 to use the word bank. And when we use the word bank, this will build public confidence in the sector for those that are regulated, because as of now, the customers find it difficult to differentiate between a regulated microfinance institution and also those microfinance institutions that are not regulated, but they are under Tier 4, which are not regulated by Bank of Uganda. These include money lenders, SACCOs, and also others. So that is going to differentiate that.
Nambo Bishafi urges that they are unable to do agent banking simply because the legislation as it stands forbids them to do so. As a result, they have been unable to reach out to the untapped clients, which puts a bottleneck on financial inclusion.
That this will allow us to offer agency banking, and the majority of the customers we serve are not in towns. Some of them are in rural areas, and they travel for long distances just to come and transact banking money, withdrawing money, taking loans. So this will enable the microfinance institutions who are called banks be able to offer agency banking.
Since the existing law exclusively benefits those supervised financial institutions under the Financial Intelligence Authority, the officials have also requested that lawmakers take Islamic banking into account when amending the law.
In the amendments that we are looking for is for the Act to allow us to offer Islamic banking, which is purely on Islamic principles. So once the amendments are done, we're expecting that the microfinance banks, as they will be called, they will be able to introduce Sharia compliance products like savings, where you don't charge, there are no charges on withdrawals, there are no charges on monthly charges. So that's said that we have a very big community, Muslim community, that have been looking for such services, as they are against riba. Riba is about the interest. So those are some of the products that we expect to do.
On the other hand, the lawmakers have promised to take into account these microfinance institutions' recommendations in the report they will submit to Parliament. They contend that it is wiser to help domestic investors who plan to make investments than it is to promote international commercial banks that repatriate their wealth.
The principles of Islamic banking, which provide for like sharing of the gain generated by a bank between the bank and the clients, is a good principle. So there is a win-win situation, and therefore it is a good principle. Me, I would support it. Thirdly, this bill, once it is revised, it is amended, the microfinance institutions, and they become bank, they will also be able to provide assurance, bank insurance services. They will also be able to provide agency banking services. So by providing these services, they come nearer to our people. And besides, why I strongly support them, they are locally deposit mobilizing institutions. And therefore, the profits, from my point of view as a Ugandan, which they generate, are all retained nationally. Our country allows for foreign direct investment. So external commercial banks are also welcome. However, although we gain from them on all other aspects, when it comes to profits, local banks retain their profits here, while foreign-based commercial banks repatriate some of their profits.
There's foreign direct investments that this country could benefit. And I think that's the reason, because they say there are people from the Islamic world who want to invest in this country, but they want to make sure their money go through the normal Sharia Islamic banking arrangements. And so they are not comfortable if that money comes here when those things have not yet been put in place. Because in their practice, they don't want their money to be used on speculative and other type of such related businesses. So they want that assurance. Now, if that is really the reason, one of the strongest reasons, which I think any country would want additional foreign direct investments, then that would be good for us. And you know, there is also that aspect of financing without even having a tangible asset that you should own. Because these banks can, let me use the word, borrowing money to you, maybe to buy an asset. They first of all have to own the asset because they want to make sure that they don't sell you hair. They want to sell you something that exists. So it can even help people in asset ownership. That will form a collateral on which you can be able to transact.
Before submitting a completed report for discussion to the rest of the House, the committee is still holding meetings with various stakeholders over the same measure. Sam Lanifa, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Now let's look at business ahead of the festive season. The low customer turnout before the holiday is worrying the business community. This is as a result of the significant investments made when purchasing holiday season goods in the hope of recovering some of those expenditures later on in the season. We discussed the consumer turn-up today with a wide range of businessmen as the holiday season draws even closer. Desire Nambiru with more.
As the economy began to recover from the mess that COVID-19 had caused, Ebola struck to make matters even worse. Given the disrupt that floods in various parts of the nation caused, the economy is still sputtering and has made a number of issues worse. President Yoweri Museveni opened the economy on December 31st, 2021, which rekindled hopes for economic prosperity and freedom amongst the populace. However, this did not live up to expectations after the Ukraine crisis, which caused fuel price changes and consequently an economic crisis. Because stakeholders had anticipated a rebound ahead of the holiday season, but the aforementioned factors have weakened consumers' purchasing power, halting their expectations.
The truth is, people are not purchasing, but we've bought everything needed in this season. But we still don't understand why people are not responding. It's not that they are expensive, but maybe because of economic hardships. The prices of goods has increased slightly, which has been attributed to the rising taxes since we've just recovered from COVID-19 effects, and some businesses and people are skeptical to purchase new stock, fearing limited turn-up. Honestly speaking, we are not seeing people buying. This is because maybe they are in fear with the trauma of economic hardships.
Christmas nowadays,
Christmas has not been that bad, but I still think COVID-19 left a deep financial crisis amongst the Ugandans.
Customers are not buying due to the high prices we purchased these goods. People can't afford the stock that we have and they really want to buy, but the conditions are limiting them. Because times are tough, you and your family require every money that can be spared. Therefore, it is not necessary to travel to the village for the festivities if there is no emergency. The world now has a chance thanks to technology. Spend less money on unnecessary purchases and put it towards investments. The fun of spending time with family may be reduced, but at least you don't get to sleep hungry. Design Nambiru, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
We now look at the festive season carnage. Prior to this year's holiday season, the Minister of Works and Transport has published strict requirements that must be adhered to by all drivers. Now, at a time when the nation has lost over 83 lives as a result of the negligent drivers, General Katumba stated this in just last week, where 390 reported cases of road accidents, of which 71 resulted in fatalities, 202 were serious, and 117 were minor. Monica Nabionga reports.
Among the new regulations, according to General Katumba, would target infractions like speeding, veering into another lane, driving while intoxicated, driving while using a cell phone, among other road misuse.
Drink driving, driving without a valid license. These days you have no reason why to be on the road when you don't have a valid driving permit or license. People used to give excuses. It's very difficult to get a driving license. We made it easy, we made it simple to get a driving license. So anybody who will be found without a driving license, don't say you are not told. So don't drive and use the phone at the same time. Our cameras are going to be highly activated and we'll be able to look out at those. For the riders, please use your crash helmets.
He continued to appeal to motor drivers and passengers to use seatbelts each time they get into the car and not wait for police enforcement.
For God's sake, don't wait to see a policeman to apply a safety belt. That's not what it should be. It should just be a discipline that when you enter the vehicle, apply a safety belt.
That it will not be the eyes of police officers on the roads, but we shall have extra eyes and we shall use our CCTV cameras to watch all those who will be violating traffic law on the highways.
Drivers who commit significant offences will be detained and brought before the courts, according to Minister Katumba, while others will be held for 2 hours, educated about traffic regulations, and then released to continue with their journeys.
It's just the minor offences which will attract the express penalty, but major offences, these will be arrested. You may spend the rest of the festive season in the cooler because you may find that also the magistrates and the courts have also gone for the festive season. So you may spend your festive season behind bars if you are not careful. So these serious offences must be arrested and held. Now for minor offences, you will either get the express penalty scheme, form, and in some cases, you may be held for some time when you are being sensitized. And if you are found to be responsive, then they will allow you to get back on the road.
Additionally, Nwabine cautioned the drivers to pay close attention to the information written on tires because tires are only permitted to carry a certain amount of weight.
Checking your tires. Tires are an important component on the vehicle and you need to constantly check. Most of those intending to move are likely to buy new tires or are likely to use the tires they have been using. I want to appeal to all road users that tires have information that you need to check. 1, the tires have expiry date. It is there on those tires, you can read it. The tires give you the maximum speed you are supposed to drive that tire. Before you move on long journeys, you need to check this information. please do not have your Raum type of vehicle and load 2 sacks of rice that you are taking it to the village for your grandparents and all the relatives. That Raum vehicle may not reach up country or travel those long journeys before you get a tire burst. And once you get a tire burst, the occupants in the vehicle are all at a risk, and chances are high that that crash will be a fatal one.
Some of the major incidences that occurred last week included one on Masaka Road in Nausanke Kayabwe, where a global bus crashed with a Toyota Fielder, killing 3 people, and another one on Mbale Tirini Road when a Toyota Land Cruiser collided head-on with a Toyota Probox, killing the Soere Member of Parliament and his wife. Monica Nabyonga, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Isn't it? We just advise you to remain cautious as you're heading into the festive celebrations. Well, as we continue, we look at the Uganda Free Zone Authority. The free zones were established with the intention of fostering exports, increasing employment, and enhancing commodity processing from trading raw materials to finished goods, while taking into account the effects that product processing has on the environment. Now, to promote economic development and the expansion of export-oriented industry across all economic sectors, the Uganda Free Zone Authority is established the Airport Public Free Zone now. We have more in this report.
According to the Uganda Free Zones Authority, the Airport Public Free Trade Zone, which is almost finished, is primarily intended to diversify the nation's economic base, attract local and foreign direct investment, create jobs, raise foreign exchange revenues, improve technology transfer, skill acquisition or upgrading, and establishing forward and backward links. Traders should celebrate this accomplishment since it will increase trade in Uganda.
Free Zones Authority, our plans next year are: 1, we want to complete the Entebbe International Airport Free Zone, which is the first public free zone in Uganda, and that provides brick and mortar, and that is brick and mortar, and it provides the plug and play, because you're going to find infrastructure set up, factory sheds are in place, the road is already done. That public free zone is set up right next to the cargo terminal. So any goods that will be exported through the airport are best resident at the Entebbe International Airport Free Zone. Number 2, we want to increase our campaign, our publicity drive, sensitization drive about the importance of free zones in boosting Uganda's export. As you may very well know, as a country, we import so much more than we export. And the answer is, among other economic schemes, and among other development tools, the answer is in special economic zones.
Since it is the first of its kind in the nation, manufacturers stand to gain much from it because it will give them a platform to advertise our products globally. Through the tax-free expectations, this is primarily meant to promote the export market for SMEs and business owners. This is responsible for developing, managing, marketing, maintaining, and supervising the economic structure of the country's small and medium enterprises and micro, small, and medium enterprises.
By the free zone, 1, you can be able to export without taxes. You're exempted from the taxes. So when you're producing from the free zone, that means you can produce your product and sell them to other countries minus having to pay the custom duties. Those are the export taxes or import taxes. So whatever you're taking out or whatever you're bringing in is exempted from these taxes. You're also exempted from the income taxes. That means whatever you're producing, government will not come and say, this year you made 50 million, so from the 50 million you have to give us part of that income that you made it. So those are the opportunities, and that is to support and motivate the local industrialists. Now this is not actually for the bigger producers. No. This actually has also been put as an opportunity that the SMEs can benefit from.
It is an excellent accomplishment for the trading sector to have Uganda's first public free trade zone, since it supports and facilitates export-oriented businesses, raises public awareness of free zones there, and ensures compliance with regulations meant to prevent unauthorized use of free trade zones and economic companies there. Martha Nimsima, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at the aviation industry. According to the aviation industry predictions, and in light of Uganda's economic problems, particularly youth unemployment, poor planning for markets for agricultural products, and the need to aggressively promote Uganda as a top tourist destination, Uganda Airlines can be a key part of the country's economic recovery. We can only understand more of this in this report.
The aviation sector is a world unto itself, employing a sizable labor force and making a sizable contribution to the international economy. Despite difficulties, the sector was poised for significant expansion until the pandemic, after which it experienced a significant decline. However, it is accurate to say that despite the negative economic effects of these issues, it has been on the path of recovery and may very well return to the mainstream in a few years. Despite the 18% passenger fee VAT, multinational providers of safety and security equipment, and suppliers of aviation equipment that cause delays.
There have also been some challenges here and there. One of those is the growing government debt, which as of 30th June 2022 was standing at 107 billion Uganda shillings, and this is mainly from the government agencies operating at Entebbe International Airport. But we are engaging them even through our ministry and other channels to ensure that they can pay that money. Of course, if we get that money, it helps us to invest it in infrastructure and provision of better services for a better passenger experience.
The administration of an airline, however, should be emphasized as being service-oriented and requiring professionalism at all levels, because it depends on providing customers with memorable experiences to build the necessary reputation in the international market where it competes. As passenger traffic increases, so does Uganda's economy.
But even as passenger traffic grows, it is still a big opportunity for everyone, because the bulk of travelers are actually tourists. And when tourists come in, they bring in a lot of revenue, they spend money in hotels, in dollars, so they bring in foreign exchange.
Recent years have seen the aviation industry confront external issues that demand competent management at all levels, ensure the sustainability of maintaining these economic infrastructures, because any financial leakage would result in a significant cumulative loss. As Uganda's economy grows, so does the country's air traffic, and more air operators are drawn in to benefit from the passenger and cargo flow. According to IMF forecasts, Uganda's GDP would increase by 5.2% in 2018 and 7.3% in 2022. The country's air traffic is expected to follow the same upward trend. Ronya Katsime, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
We do head into a break, but Business Today will continue, and as well, wait for the coffee cut coming up shortly after the break.
SMART24, driving business.
taste of Uganda in a new international park.
Mukwano?
Yes?
I need you to help me watch the kids. I'm going to pay school fees.
I've finished.
Excuse me.
Relax. Sit down, watch TV. I've already paid.
Chikole for less. Hakuna hassle, no stress. Whether night or day, tuli okay. Wangatuli ku flexi.
Don't hustle to pay bills or send money. Chikole for less. Ne flexi pay. Hold it.
Chikole for less with FlexiPay. Dial *291# to transact or download the FlexiPay app to get started. Stanbic Bank. It can be. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, up to 10 million shillings.
SMART24, driving business.
We'll be back from the break. Let's continue with business today. Now we talk matters cattle keeping in Karamoja, rather in Nakasongola. The farmers in Nakasongola have been cautioned not to use antimicrobial risk. Farmers in Nakasongola have been cautioned not to use the antimicrobial resistance medications used to fight the animal killing tick and foot and mouth diseases by the Ministry of Health and the National Drug Authority. Deon Dumu, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Animal Control, said that the government has a variety of laboratories that can control animal parasites. We have more in this report.
As the holiday season approaches, farmers in Nakasongola district are concerned about providing high-quality meat because of the major diseases that are affecting their animals, including foot and mouth disease and resistant tick diseases. Speaking with some of the farmers in Nakasongola district, they highlighted some of the issues they face when their livestock are being affected with diseases.
The vaccines we use to spray animals may take 2 weeks to eradicate ticks. In the past, we had vaccines like copper that killed these ticks, but the current medication we use do not. If the ticks is too many on cows and you do not have vaccines, it can lead to loss of them.
In order to keep their livestock from contracting the diseases that lower their income, Fred Kasumba asked government to send more veterinarians to the area. Deundumo from Maifu's Animal Disease Control gave farmers the assurance that they have separate laboratories and can concentrate on the certain parasites.
Looking at parasites and then also looking at, let's say hematology and helminthology. That's basically checking for worms, checking for blood parasites such as those that cause East Coast fever. It's also known as the mashu. I don't know, is it Makebe? It's also known as Makebe. Then you can also do bacteriology. You culture a sample and you see whether the microorganism will grow, and that is where the AMR comes in. You can be able to put in certain drugs, and if a certain dosage that has been put in that culture is able to prevent the growth of that microorganism, then you know that you are able to treat the animal with that particular drug.
Nakasongola has one of the Uganda's biggest cattle farmers, providing milk and beef, among other things. Stories compiled by Samuel Chirimunda for SMART24 TV Business Today.
All right, now ginger did function as the industrial center of this country way back since 1954 until the late 1970s and 1980s to be more precise. The hydroelectric Nalubari power station at the Owen Falls Dam, which was completed in the year 1954, provided the energy for that particular industrialization move in the city. Now a city, Ginger has recently begun making efforts to regain its past splendor. And in our coffee call tonight, we discuss the performance and the growth of Ginger City, where the challenges are at, and how they tend to overcome them as we're heading into 2023. This is the Coffee Pot.
It's a pleasure and thank you for joining us on the Coffee Court, where we ask the critical questions, but questions especially that matter when it comes to nation building. We'll be taking time to digest issues in Ginger. First of all, as a city, the ups and the downs, and what are the leaders in charge doing to make sure that Ginger becomes a better city. Ashraf Nasha is a mayor of Ginger Southern Division, joins us to weigh in on the performance of Ginger as a city. Your Worship, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
What makes you a unique city?
What makes us a unique city? As Ginger City, I would say it's one of the cities in East Africa, not even in East Africa, in East and South Africa and Central, that is surrounded by two water bodies. We have a lake, we have a river, and I think we have the forest as well around us.
Is that good enough to boast that because you're surrounded by rivers and water, that makes you unique from other cities?
It makes us unique from other cities because most of the cities in the world, they're all built around rivers and lakes. But then again, they're man-made. Ours are natural resources. As a tourism city, it helps us a lot because we've got the Lake Victoria, and it, not only in tourism, but even in the economy, because it helps us fishing, and we have the River Nile, source of the Nile, where the Nile starts from. That's also a tourism attraction. For a city in South Central Africa, I think Ginger City is one of the best located cities that we can ever have.
Are you just a city in words, or are those critical features that really defines you?
We could say we're not with city in words when it comes to the local government policies and what we are doing. But when we come to the real physical assets that we have, it is we that are not, we as Ginger people are not using our city to the maximum to gain the city status out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk about cities, you see every city is struggling to be unique.
Yeah.
Masaka is struggling maybe to be an agriculture city.
Yeah.
Fort Portal is struggling to be a tourism city.
Yeah.
Initially, you are known to be an industrial city. I don't know if you are still an industrial city anyway. What is it that you want makes you unique?
Actually, when you say that we used to be an industrial city,
things may have changed anyway.
Things changed down the line, but now we have about 250 industries right in Ginger. And why are we having that? Before we had only about 10 industries. But because of the economy that's favoring Ginger, because of the transport, the infrastructure, and the electricity that it is coming from here, it becomes more cheaper for factories to set up shop in Ginger. But not only are we looking at the industrial side of it, but we're looking at the tourism side of it. So that to boost the economy of Ginger, we're even getting more hoteliers in Ginger side and industrialists.
Which are these industries you're talking about?
Industries, we've got one of the best industries in the country, actually in East Africa as well, for cooking, for manufacturing edible oil. Bidiko is one of the biggest companies that we're talking about at the moment in East Africa on the market. Not only are we stopping on that, we're also having Kakira sugar. It's one of the biggest companies in the country and one of the biggest taxpayers. That is in Ginger City. We're not stopping on that. We've got the best iron sheet making factory in Ginger, which is MMI Steel. MMI Steel, they've got branches in Tanzania, Kenya, everywhere, but it's a multinational company, but they set up base in Jinja. And not only that, we've also got VG Keshwala, who is the biggest distributor in Uganda at the moment that we can ever think of. Right from the safety pin, to the beer, to the alcohol, to everything that we're going to be using as a household, is a distributor of it.
With all the examples and the statistics seem to be alluding, you would be better when it comes to issues of employment. Yeah. And now you've said you have all the industries, but the level of unemployment in Busoga, maybe in Jinja, seems not to be improving. So would you actually plead to me that I will agree with what you say?
The level of unemployment in Busoga, I would put it that in my office, in a day, I'm recommending about 30, 50 people. And all these people are getting employment. People are working and everything, but the economy does not favor the working conditions that we are working in. The economy does not favor that. And me, as a Southern Division Mayor, I tend to push it, and I push it on to the leaders who are above me, that once they're on the floor of Parliament, rather than going into things that are not favoring the economy, I think we should be pushing for a minimum wage.
Okay.
Because everyone is employed.
Minimum wage in Jinja City?
No, minimum wage in the whole country. Because now we are working and we're getting employed and everything, but somebody's getting paid 5,000 a day.
Okay.
So how are you going to take poverty out of that person? Or how are you going to make that person reflect on the economy of Uganda with 5,000?
I would think that's partly your responsibility.
It is part of
the
my
reason why
responsibility.
you are in office is not just to sit and write and make recommendations, but to create avenues for employment opportunities.
Yeah. Employment opportunities, as I said, they're there. I've created. Anybody who comes in and they want to set up factory, to set up shop for investment, we are open-minded for them. But now the problem comes in, how much are they paying the employees? Because according to the constitution, there's a certain amount of money that they're getting paid. And that certain amount of money at the moment in the economy, if I'm to give you 5,000 a day, I'm pretty sure by the time you reach the gate, you're not gonna have 5,000 in your pocket. The household, the food, sanitation, everything, 5,000 is a bit little. So I think that now that we are giving them the opportunity for employment, and the president said the other day, let these people come in, let them start setting up shop, everyone gets employed, then we see about the minimum wage for people to earn out of the jobs they're doing.
Okay, when it comes to Kampala, I'm talking about KCC, it's grappling with little funds, and yet there's a lot to do. Is this the case when it comes to maybe Jinja as a city?
Now, if the mother city is struggling, what about us who have just been born yesterday?
It may be a different case because we have different leaders taking charge over different areas.
Over different
Kampala
areas.
is not Jinja.
Kampala is not Jinja, but we're all running by the local government, Ministry of Local Government.
But the leaders are not the same.
The leaders are not the same. KCCA is allowed to borrow money against its entity. Jinja City, whatever cities that have been set up, we've not gone to that caliber of getting funds from outside. So at the moment, let me say the budgets that we passed, the 2 years budgets, they're all corresponding to the municipality, which is less funds as the municipality was giving. It's not the same way. The youth meet funds we're having, they are for one municipality. But now we have 2 municipalities in a city. So the youth meet funds have to go 3 ways. Northern Division to get its municipality, its youth meet, Southern Division to get its youth meet, and the city to get its youth meet. Then the infrastructure goes on. Then again, for the road fund again, same thing.
Did you say you don't believe in funds, maybe foreign funds?
In foreign funds? Yes. No, I do believe in foreign funds, and they are something that we need to work with. Because as a businessman, there's no way you're going to build yourself without a loan. There's no way you're going to build yourself without holding partners. There's no way you're going to be working to better yourself without extra hands from the side.
So how are you running a city, you and the other team you're working with the limited funds, Your Worship?
How are we meeting that? We're doing a PPDA, where we're doing the public partnerships with privates, which is at the moment there's a road goes to Masese, and we've given them an opportunity. We can work with the companies so that we can do that road in a better way and a better state. With that, even we're looking for CRS so that we bring them back to the community centers, which are hospitals, schools, and hospital, schools, and maybe community centers.
Okay.
So we're doing that with the people, rather than the governments that have been, the people that have been in office, they always went and collected money off these people. That is in ground rent, property rates, and everything, but they never worked with them. Now, if you're collecting money, well, how do we speak? How do we work? What's the best way we can work together? So it's more of engaging the community and see the best way we can work.
How are you managing the city? I'm talking about, for us in Kampala, the issues we are grappling with, how we are managing commercial markets. I know you are aware.
Yep.
KCC is taking over.
Yeah.
Vendors and hawkers is one of those critical issues.
Yeah.
How are you managing such issues in your city?
In our city, by the time I got in office as a councillor, that was in 2015, Jinja Central Market, we were adding 20-30 million on top of what we are collecting out of the market.
That's per what? Per year?
Per month.
Per month.
On the expenditure.
Was it too much? Too little?
We were adding in money, but the market itself had to sustain itself. On sustaining itself, it became a problem. So with those improvisions that we put on ground, the market started sustaining itself, breaking even, because of giving the better services to the people and making the operation facility better for the community to use. Yeah.
So if I don't know whether you have any advice for Kampala. Yes, we are talking about Jinja as a city. Are there lessons you learned from Kampala?
Yeah, there are too many lessons that we learned from Kampala. Like, actually, as Jinja, there is a lesson that we learned from Kampala. But then again, there's a way that the government has given back to the Mwananchi, and we've taken it for granted. Because now you're making a market where you've borrowed funds from the World Bank. Fine, we're a non-profit organization, but still then, all these projects have to sustain themselves. So when we're making a market, let the market be paid for by the Mwananchi. If your market grows to a certain level, your store grows to a certain level, I think you should advance and leave the market to somebody who's just come into business, and you upgrade. You get into a shop, you get into a certain business. But we're having people who are being in the market for ancestral reasons. My grandmother worked there, so that store is ours. My father worked there, the store is ours. No, it does not work like that.
So that isn't the case in Jinja?
That isn't the case in Jinja.
Okay.
You have a contract which is 1 year, pay up your dues. If you don't pay your dues, we can take that stall off you and give it to somebody else. And once you reach a certain capital, you have to leave the market to go to you go to a shop, where the shop again you're going to be paying trading license. The owner is going to make, so Jinja grows.
Okay.
That's the attitude that we're moving with.
How are you managing issues of, urbanization comes with a number of issues, garbage collection and many of those. So how are you dealing with such?
They're working out, because by the time we were in the municipality, it was already an urban area. Now that we got into the city and we got our brothers from the Northern Division, we're trying to make them adopt to the municipality ways. But with garbage waste, we are using polluter pay. The more rubbish you generate, the more expense it comes for you, which means you have to regulate and show your pollution at a lower rate for you not to lose out a lot of money.
Initially, you are known for a region known for growing sugarcane.
Yeah.
I am sure it's no longer the case.
Where I lead, I think I don't even have a factory of sugar.
I'm talking about Jinja as a city.
Jinja as a city, we have Kakira sugar, but most of the farmers are in the Jinja district and the outside. But now, it has come to a point where sugarcane is no longer the cash crop.
What is it now?
Of Jinja.
Okay.
Or of Busoga. Because people have come to realize once they go for the cash crop, they lose out a lot on the foods that they could use at home.
Okay.
because all the land they put into sugarcane, and whatever they can absorb or anything, it doesn't happen.
So if I want to invest in Busoga, what exactly should I invest?
Tourism, that's the first place.
Sure.
Yeah, because now we're speaking up. People live in Kampala, they live in Mbale, they're living everywhere, coming into Jinja. And what are they doing? They're touring Jinja, spending a weekend and having a good time. The second bit could be industrialization. And industrialization, let us not be specific onto the sugarcane or anything. The market is very wide. You travel to Kenya, on an aisle of drinks, soft drinks, you see an aisle of about 100 different kinds of soft drinks. You find an aisle of different kinds of cosmetics. You find an aisle of different kinds of wheat products. So I think with ourselves, let us work towards putting something on the shelf. If you're an investor and you come in, put something on the shelf. And tourism, it's the best way we can go with it.
Issues of urbanization in Jinja are those some of the critical things that stems our discussion. And so maybe the year has had a lot of ups and downs. As a city, what are those critical ups that you think you've encountered?
Low funding, as in we're collecting money from the revenue from the stakeholders, bank it onto the URA system, send it to Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance sends it to the local government, then the local government again gives it back to the centers.
But that's the procedure. I don't find that as a challenge. That's the procedure.
It's a challenge because at the end of the day, if I'm collecting money in Jinja and I put it on an account of URA, I wouldn't mind about it if it goes through all those channels, but I get the money the next day. But it could take 3-4 months to get back to the center. But with the center, we're having garbage collection problems, we're having cleaning the city, we're having infrastructure maintenance and everything. So within that longer period of time, by the time it comes in, the whole city is filthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about the low funding. If just in case government woke up in the morning and said, local government, we are no longer funding Jinja as a city, do we have an alternative? Areas where we can get funding?
Nope, because even the law itself, at the moment, we are not authorized to even get funding from other people or anything. So we are depending on local revenue, which is money from the stakeholders, not any funding from outside. So if they said that was not there, then we are doomed for them from day one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe as the year comes to an end, what is it that you think you've achieved as a city?
What is it I've achieved as a city? Cleanliness and trying to make the business person to earn more money into their pockets. And how are we doing that? By making sure that the policies that are passed both at the local and the national level being put in place so that any stakeholder can benefit out of having an economy in Uganda.
Your final message as we come to the end of the year 2022. Your final message, Your Worship.
2022, we're getting into 2023. Whatever has refused to happen this year, it is not us, it's not our will, but we've tried our best to do as much as we can. So where we've stopped on 2022, 2023 we'll begin at that, and trust me, it will be a better one than 2022, because again, I've grown, I've got to know exactly who I need to speak to, I've got to know where the money is, I've got to know how the funding comes in and everything. So inshallah, 2023 is going to be working very well for the people. All I can say is I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a new beginning for 2023. Don't put your New Year resolutions, because just do whatever you have to do. Sometimes we get to your New Year resolutions and then they set us back and everything.
Okay.
Let us do what we have to do.
Would that be your parting shots, Your Worship?
Yep.
Thank you so much for speaking to us and sparing time to speak to us. That is it. Matters of Urbanization Jinja continues. My name is Fred Makuvia, and that is it from the Mayor, Southern Division, His Worship, Ashraf. This is the Coffee Court, and my name is Fred Makuvia.
And that is it for business today. It's Wednesday, the 21st of December 2022. And of course, it's the week where we anticipate a lot of festivities, kickstarting it off on Friday. But pretty much the time for you to at least focus more on paying a lot of attention to the road signs as the road users, because you get to realize that with the current weather changes, many accidents have been occurring on various highways in Uganda. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Akauchi on sign language. Please keep safe, drive safely, and may the Almighty God bless you and protect you as well. Have a blessed night. Good evening.